My name is host Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People. And today I'm with some famous people in the room here. Cal, my INFP listener, my supervisor's here. Jesse, Milkman, Omnia Ot Nahil, Kiwi Sauce, and Nandi's in the house washing dishes. We have got a couple of videos up this afternoon about a single type, and I want to do another one of those right now. And I thought I would do the ENFP type personality, but then INTJ, and I did ISFJ earlier. Okay, so ENFP, that's going to be a personality type that starts with extroverted intuition, followed up by introverted feeling, followed up by extroverted thinking, followed up by introverted sensing. They're what I consider to be like our cousin type, the cousin type of the ENTP, because they have the same dominant function and the same fourth function. And in fact, somebody who is not particularly clear on type differences may often mistake an ENFP for an ENTP. And indeed, when I encounter an ENFP or an ENTP, a lot of times it takes me a little while to determine which one it is. I'm much more able to determine between INTP and ENTP, even though they have the same cognitive function stack, than I am between ENFP and ENTP right away. It's that any Dom thing that caused them to speak in a similar fashion to the ENTP. Both those types are prone to long, rambling expressions of thoughts. They're prone to a lot of parentheticals in which they rename, describe, and present other alternatives within a sentence before returning back to the point of the sentence at the end. This isn't necessarily the case because it's something that we have to, it's necessarily the case that we're naturally going to do that because we have to learn we have to learn concision. We have to learn to have better economy of language. What?
Oh shit.
We have to learn to have better economy of language. As Isaac, I'm sure, will tell us in a second. The reason being that we're so concerned with possible paths that a given idea presents us that we don't want to walk through that little patch without addressing all those possibilities. We're also very aware of possible ways in which people might respond to something. We tend to want to spike stuff out. So we'll anticipate that something is a possible misunderstanding, and for an ENFP, they'll be concerned that something might be misconstrued as mean and or not respectful of somebody else's feelings or positions. ENTP might be concerned that somebody might have a good argument about this if you don't close that little gap up. And so ENTP is a lot more fighty than ENFP, and this is one way in which you can distinguish between them pretty easily. When you start asking an ENFP what their opinions are, and you suggest good reasons why a given opinion they present is potentially wrong, they'll typically go, well, you know what, that sounds reasonable. You could be right about that after all. I guess maybe I could be wrong about that. That's typically an ENFP response to a reasonable challenge to a point, which is a reasonable response to a reasonable challenge to a point, whereas an ENTP response is typically going to be more fighty or pushbacky. So ENFP, the reason they manifest differently on that vector than the ENTP is because the ENFP has FI in the second slot. That is their main tool function, their main judging function. When they perceive all these possibilities, they check to see how they feel about all of them. And then if they feel like that's one they want to follow through on, they'll use their TE as their execution function. Challenge, of course, with the ENFP is that their feelings tend to change, as feelings do. And so while they come up with a course of action that seems like the right course of action at any given moment, they'll learn a little while later that, you know what, I don't actually feel as strongly about that as I thought I did. And this can cause them, as they get into early to mid adulthood, become kind of wishy-washy, have trouble committing to things. And then I think a typical growth arc for the ENFP will see them find those things they do want to commit to as they get a little bit older, into their 30s and such and beyond. This is also true for the ENTP. ENTP doesn't normally know what they really are advocating for or against until they get into their 30s or 40s, unless they've got special situations in which it caused them to grow faster. But for ENFP, they run into some challenges that are similar to my type as well, in that they might be accused of taking up all the air in a room, of talking too much, of not getting to the point, of being annoying. These are risks that we take because we're extroverts. We like to engage with other people, and we engage through this possibilities mechanism that causes us to generate lots and lots of ideas and want to spill them out into the world. So ENFP, ENTP can feel for each other in this regard very strongly and see one another as brethren in this fight. Let's go on to the other functions, though, on the back end of the stack, the shadow functions. If we look at the fifth slot, which is your blind spot function, as somebody pointed out in the comments earlier, and it's also your trusting function, which is for an ENFP, like the ENTP, ENFPs are going to like and trust INTJs and INFJs. ENTPs are going to particularly like and trust INFJs. ENFPs are going to particularly like and trust INTJs. And it's that it's the same relationship there between the functions. So the fifth function slot is something that any DOMs need to get a relationship with at some point. It is our blind spot, and so, but it doesn't mean that we're bad at it. It means we don't see it as being worth anything at all until we get familiarized with it and have good reason to, and work at it a little bit. So for ENFP, then, that mastery of NI is the thing that will finalize their visions, because their FI then, though it might be changing, their NI truth that they are able to apply to it once they get past that blind spot barrier is going to allow them to distinguish between which of those possibilities is real for them and which of them is not. Now, there's this issue of authenticity that's tied in with FI, and this is one area in which the ENFP, I think, has a big advantage over the ENTP. While the ENFP may feel wishy-washy, they also feel very authentic because they are authentically expressing that wishy-washiness. They're saying, I don't know, and I'm not sure which of these is better. I see a lot of possibilities and I have trouble choosing between them. But the ENTP will simply pick one at random and just go with it and see how that plays out, and then pick another one. And so ENTP has much more of a risk of being accused of being inauthentic, and with some good cause, because authenticity seems to link closely to FI. And ENTP has it in the 7th slot. ENFP has it in the 2nd slot. So I think ENFPs are typically extremely honest and forthright people, very transparent. You can trust what they're saying to you is not deceptive in a way intended to take advantage of you or exploit you. They're making their choices with their feelings, and people don't feel good when they do bad things. The other challenge for the ENFP is in that 7th slot TI, where they're going to not know how to chase down very efficiently the strings that their possibilities are laying out in front of them. There are strings of ideas that can be chased down and locked into place with effective TI. They're executing their ideas out in the world with their TE, which isn't particularly strong, but their ability to go out there and set up protocols and have their visions become reality through those protocols is crucial to the ENFP's ultimate success. Now, those don't have to be big projects, I don't think. I think the ENFP is somebody who can be very satisfied with a pastoral life or a life with a large family. They're excellent caregivers. They need to express themselves artistically, and they can be quite brilliant in doing so. And I think probably the most important task for the ENFP over the course of his or her life will be to determine the manner in which he or she wishes to express him or herself, and to find the structure of life that allows them to do so that others can take advantage of their expressions of authentic human experience that the ENTP is never going to generate in their own art as resonantly as the ENFP will. And I think that we need ENFP to be enabled, provide us that external manifestation of intuition that is the domain of the extroverted intuitors. So ENFPs of the world, you are on team extroverted intuition as far as I'm concerned, and we're all out there trying to get some intuitive thoughts out where they can have some impact in the world. And there's nothing wrong with that, and we should be, to the extent that we can enable ourselves and encourage others to enable us to behave in that fashion, and to the extent that we can structure our lives to enable ourselves to behave in that fashion, it's a good thing, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Thanks for watching Talking with Famous People, and don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.